Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday Night Forum. And football has returned, at least meaningful football has returned, club football. And maybe it's preseason, but it's Arsenal, Alonso. So I'm going to take it.
Last night was a late game for most people in England.
Yes.
I think I got off work just in time before the 20th minute mark. Though we kind of what was expected, and we're missing some bigger names due to competitions during the summertime. Gives Arteta to use some of Tony's academy kids, as the cliche says.
Tony Tigers.
Right,
Tony
as you say,
Tigers
Ray.
Academy kids, yeah.
Yeah. To see their positive effects or not, and I was really impressed given the fact that they held Bournemouth basically goalless up until the very end. It's a little bit of Timber, a little bit of Partey, a little bit of Nketiah, which we knew he would be useless at this point. Kind of sad that ESR didn't get any minutes, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later. I think Hein did a good job goalkeeping there at the very end, up until the very end. But all in all, just not the full team we would expect to see. But like I said, it's just only the team that given some minutes to the academy kids and against the Bournemouth team that has also really been playing a full team at least. Looking forward to seeing how the next games come about.
Yeah, look, preseason's all about getting some minutes into the legs. And we, as Alonso said, we have a lot of experienced international players who went long in the European Championships. Some of them went to the final, some of them went to a semi-final, and they have not yet joined up with the team, and they will soon enough. I think Gabriel Magalhaes and Martinelli and Saliba will return next. I think actually it could be tonight. I think it was the 25th. I have in my notes from the last podcast that they're joining on the 25th of July. So next game out against Manchester United, we might see a few more players in there. Alonso alluded to and also mentioned Emile Smith Rowe. That's a conversation we're going to have a little bit later tonight as well. Eddie Nketiah was selected the captain for yesterday's game, and there's speculation that Eddie will be going to Marseille as well, under an obligation on a loan move, but an obligation for a sale next season or next summer. We know there's been speculation with Reece Nelson as well, and probably Ramsdale will move. Well, look, we're looking at 4 or 5 players that could potentially move. The market will probably dictate how it's going to happen. I will tell you now, and this might be unpopular, we might not get moves for all of those players that we're talking about. Reece Nelson may not get a move, but it's imperative to move these players on in order to be able to bring in some targets. And maybe we'll talk about Mikel Mourinho as well. The best combination of Mikel Arteta and Jose Mourinho, if you like. I think Stan may join us a little bit later. Tony may join us a little bit later. Not sure about Gary. But for now, you got myself and Alonso. And yesterday, Alonso, as you said, a whole raft of academy players went on the trip. And look, I think it's been said in another podcast as well. I think it's good to have a group of players. All of those 9 players can mingle together so they don't feel out of place. It's like when you have a group of new people coming into an established group, it's a little bit off-putting. So for all of those 9 or 10 players that got on the plane, it's good that they're all in the same boat together, and there's not 1 or 2 of them thrown in with the rest of the pack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it has to also have some camaraderie. I know that there's times where we had other senior players, talk to the younger players and just show them the way, show them how to play and just guide them. And I think there's some talent there on the academy side of things, and I'm sure Tony has taught them well.
Yeah,
um,
Tony has coached them
and
very, very well. Yeah,
yeah, but I mean, I think a couple players that I think we kept an eye on was Nwaneri. Um, Again, it's one game. I'm sure he'll grow and become better in preseason. It seems like he has a chip on his shoulder. I thought the center backs, the two young center backs, did pretty well also.
yeah,
Um, and it's also good to see Timber play as well. So it looks like he's going to play on the left this year as left back. But I think it'll be interesting to see how Calafiori fits on this team. I'm still kind
yeah.
of puzzled on why I brought him in. But I think the left is solidified unless Kvyat and Dorzinchenko are both of a move, because that move kind of doesn't make sense unless it's rotation. Um, yeah, and we'll see how Timber also fits in the right, or as being like we're going to center back. Who knows? But
Yeah.
I'm sure Mr.
Great.
Arteta has a plan.
We almost can't take this lineup seriously because we know as the games wear on and we go forward this season, even in preseason, the team lineups are going to change drastically as we get the likes of, as I mentioned, Saliba, Magalhaes, and Gabriel Martinelli coming back. I want to shout out to a few people. Stephen is here, and it's very distressing when you hear that the forest fires are still going on, and probably in some places in Canada. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn here. Maybe the fires will be raging through the year, year round as well, and to try to keep that under control. So big up to Stephen. Hey guys, hope you're all good. I'm on forest fire duty again, just outside of Jasper, Alberta. The week-long heat wave we just had has turned the province into a tinderbox. So can't stress it enough when you are outdoors and doing things with nature. Be careful about what you're doing. Fires, it's like a tinderbox, right? It looks like half of Jasper is burned down with the fire still raging. Got the call last night at 2 a.m. and got here 5 hours later with my motor coach. Right now, sleeping is not an option. So,
Mm,
Stephen, good luck. Stay safe out there, and
yes, sir.
you're helping people as well out there. So, um, we're with you, Stephen. But yeah, Alonso, back to just a preseason here with Arsenal. As you mentioned, Ethan Nwaneri, and he got some minutes last season. But by all accounts, I watched part of the game. I didn't watch all of it. By all accounts, he had a good game and he played well yesterday.
Yeah, like you right. I went to bed before the kickoff or before the penalty shootout happened. But yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna be maybe Rudiger's backup or even that because Vieira's always hurt and Vieira had a good game as well as the Reece Nelson. So I just hope that he doesn't go on loan and Arteta regrets it. But yeah, I think this kid could be for real. If he has a head straight, he has leadership core, willing to uh, show him the way and the Arsenal way rather, and just him being, just
My
him
namesake.
being,
So, I'm a Raymond also, Alonso. We got a Raymond here.
you
New year, guys. Come on, you Gooners. So, thanks for joining us, Raymond. Really appreciate it. Yeah, Ethan
but
Nwaneri.
yeah, I mean the limit is sky for him. So he's a perfect he he has a perfect mentor in Udegaard because he's a club captain. You know he's had some people doubt him at Real Madrid, so he knows how to make it good again, as I say. So yeah, I mean I'm excited to see how he does this year.
And look, even if Ethan Nwaneri can take 10% of the minutes that Martin Odegaard took last season, there is no way that our club captain is going to sit down for most of the season and, you know, not that he's going to let Ethan Nwaneri, but share the minutes with Ethan Nwaneri. So it's not about that. It's about a 90% capacity for Odegaard and a 10% capacity for Nwaneri. And that's going to be perfect for both of those players in that position. For Odegaard to not play and be overplayed in that position as we thought he was for many parts of last season, and uh, Nathan Nwaneri to come in and take a few minutes from him would be very, very beneficial. And in that capacity, Nwaneri can just grow in that role as well. We're not going to he doesn't need to win games for Arsenal, but he just needs to be able to be nurtured along carefully. So we have RD Gunner, RD United TV. Rich Sports used to be formerly Rich Sports, I believe. Just passing through it as it's really late here. I hope everyone's good. Good to see you, Rich. We'll let you win the preseason game like we did last season, and then we can take hopefully 6 points from you in the regular season when the actual real games come along. So I remember going to the game with Gary last season, and Arsenal didn't play very well. It was Declan Rice's um, debut, and it was Declan Rice's debut, and Manchester United beat Arsenal on the day as well. So, okay, Alonso, you have to step out for a second. You're on mute.
I'll be back, Ray.
All right. Listen, if anybody's got questions, throw them in the chat box as well. But we'll carry on regardless. So yeah, I thought it was a good get together. The lineup was as expected. Eddie Nketiah leading the line as the captain, Nelson, and a few others who, um, the players that need to step forward did step forward yesterday. Um, Nwaneri needed to put in a shift and play well to get the um, manager's eye, and Mikel Arteta will have been heartened by what Nwaneri did. Um, so and that will open up doors for him to getting more minutes in the coming season as well. Um, Fabio Vieira did very well also. Um, so there. I'm wondering if Brownie maybe wanted to join me as well. I'm not sure. I'm just going to throw the invite out there, Brownie. If you want to join me as well, I'll drop the link in the chat box here so you can drop in. Um, and if Rich even wanted to join and have a little chat as well, we could do that as well. So that's 2 live invitations. Yeah, Raymond. Exactly. Ethan is the baller. Um, and look, at such a young age, but we got to bring him through in the right way. I think he doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the guy in the team. So it's a great way for Nwaneri to get a football education with Arsenal, with the players that are there. Ethan Nwaneri will hopefully, and that's on Mikel Arteta this season, is to start bringing these young players through. It's been a big criticism of him over the years as well. Brownie, no problem. I'd love to mate, but I'm currently traveling on a train. So just keep the chat going then, Brownie. I didn't see the match, so I'm wondering how the keeper did. This is a position that scares the hell out of me. The thing, Stephen, is that Mikel Arteta and Arsenal have a very, very long history with goalkeepers. We've gone through a number of goalkeepers, 7 or 8 goalkeepers now, at the time that Mikel Arteta's been there. and I know it's been 4 seasons. It'll be going on 5 seasons in December. We've gone through a lot of goalkeepers, and we've maybe suggested to some goalkeepers that they move on by our actions and inactions in doing so. So, Brian Leno gone. We sold him very badly to Fulham. Um, Emi Martinez, we know all about that. There was a discussion to be had between Emi Martinez and Bernd Leno, and we stuck with Bernd Leno at the time. Many of us thought Emi Martinez was the better goalkeeper, maybe not the better personality. And I think in some of our transfer dealings, personality is a big thing that has been considered by Mikel Arteta as well. So yeah, Ethan Nwaneri is a baller, and he's only going to progress this season much more, and it's very important um, in the way that we bring him forward. Um, give him There'll be certain games where we can give him more responsibility. The Carabao Cup, the lesser games in the Premier League, um, the last few minutes in Premier League games, and maybe in the FA Cup as well. So Ethan Nwaneri uh, could be given the position to grow, such as Kobe Mino has done at Manchester United in his season. Um, the keeper, so Carl Hein, I think did pretty well. You can't blame him at all for the goal that was conceded. It was a shot that was deflected off of Ben White and looped over the goalkeeper, so no goalkeeper would have been able to um, save that. Brownie said, I watched the match off and on, right? And to be honest, I would have been furious if I paid for a flight, hotel, and seen the third rate team, which is put out completely mugging off the fence. I, Listen, I kind of said this to Lawrence, who went to the game, and he told me he wouldn't be here tonight because he went to the game yesterday, and there's probably more activities that he's involved in tonight. I kind of told Lawrence, when you're looking at the state of play and you're looking at the European Championships, you know that we have major players playing for big teams in the European Championships. You have William Saliba, you have Odegaard not playing, but um, you have Havertz, you have Declan Rice, you have Bukayo Saka. And, all of these players are involved very, very deep into competitions. Um, so you know that they're not going to be there for the first game. Uh, each each season we played Nuremberg a few seasons ago, and I think last season as well before we came to the States. And we didn't have a great team. The first game out, you never really have a good team to play. It's especially exasperated when you have a European Championships and you have a Copa America to deal with, Brownie. So the fans really should be annoyed more about international games and the load that's been put on these players to play almost 11 and a half months now out of the year. Players only really get 2 weeks off anymore. Um, but fans should know this as well, Brownie, that they should anticipate and know the team that could likely be there. So I told Lawrence, you're not going to have these players going to that game. Um, but for the fans, it's also the experience of going to the stadium. It's the experience of um, enjoying the vibe with the other fans as well, having a bit of fun pre game and post game, having a few drinks, having a few beers, having some food together, and talking about the one thing that brings everybody together. The one common denominator that we all have is Arsenal Football Club, and we're on a quest. This team is on a quest. It's been 20 years. It's been over 20 years since Arsenal won the Premier League, and as Lawrence said on that video, that Tiger and Gunnar, I was going to say Tiger and Lawrence, that Tiger and Gunnar is talking about. Lawrence was on the end of that video, and he said it's been a long time now since we have won the Premier League, and it's about time that we get after it and do it this season. And it's got to be this season. And, that's a huge responsibility on somebody like Mikel Arteta, who has to guide the team. We have to put together a full season, not a half season where we collect 50 points from 19 games. But, we have to get close to a 94 points season in 38 games. So we got to put a full season together, not one half that's really good and the second half that's bad. Like last season, we won 18 out of 19 games, something like that, or 17 out of 19 games, drew one and lost one, and that wasn't good enough against this Manchester City team. And again, Lawrence mentioned, how Manchester City have to be dealt with, and we're going to be looking for that this season. And the court cases, the 115 FC, will be heard in October, and it will drag through till June. So Raymond said he looked good on the left when Martin came on. So yeah, this is all good for Nwaneri. It's good exposure. It's good experience. Stepping it up, you got to step it up to another level now consistently, and he'll have put a good marker down for Mikel Arteta. Brownie said, for friendlies, I wish clubs would name their starting 11 a week before the game so that it gives fans the option of whether they want to travel or not knowing the starting lineup. I think that's a fair point, Brownie. Yeah, I think so. Mikel Arteta, he's got a difficult job in that respect. He's got to put a team out with the players that he has. He's got to play them in a decent position, and he's got to allow some of those players to step forward and put a marker down for the season. So he's got to allow Nwaneri the minutes to impress. He's got to allow Fabio Vieira the minutes to impress and score a goal. And he's got to allow somebody like Miles Skelley, right, the minutes to impress. And he's got to do all of that in a cohesive way, getting a decent result for the team, keeping things moving. The result's not ultimately that important, and then he has to think about the fans, right? He's got to think about putting enough players out there, enough star power out there that the fans won't feel like they've shelled out a lot of money for a lesser known lights. You know what I mean? So I think you got a good point there, Brownie. Tiger and Gunnar, great as always to have you here and to have everyone here right now watching. Great. I'm here until I get Alonso back, until I get Stan coming in, maybe Tony coming in. So great opportunity to throw some questions at me. Odegaard didn't play in the Euros and he was on the bench. Exactly, Brownie. You're right. Slip up on my part. Saw Lawrence on the AFT podcast. Yeah, so he tagged me in as well. And so I went and had a little look at that as well. Good. I think Lawrence was looking forward to it, enjoyed getting out there and going to see the Arsenal. If Arsenal come to your neck of the woods, you can't really pass up that opportunity. Brownie said the clubs are also partly to blame, as they're the ones who agree to these preseason tours because the clubs want to rake in the cash. It's the clubs to blame just as much as international football. Yeah, but the timing is, you have an international competition that just ended 11 days ago on the 14th of July. And now, we're starting preseason 11 days later, and some of those players that we spoke of, who were in the final, Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka and Ramsdale. And they're on holiday somewhere. I don't know where they're at, but they're on holiday. But yeah, clubs are just as much to blame. But Mikel Arteta and Arsenal need to start the season by winning games, and so the clock pretty much dictates that the preseason has to start now in order to get some rhythm and fitness into their legs. The other thing as well is you teams now start the Premier League not 100% fit. Players are not 100% fit. They're not 100% in rhythm. And so those five substitutions are very, very important, especially in the first 3 4 weeks of the season, as players get acclimatized to playing 100 minutes of football now. It's not just 90, 100 minutes of football. Um, all right, so Stephen is here, and Stephen said, "Sorry, Brownie, but the best team available was sent. You can't send players that are scattered all over the place after international duty. Those layers, those players would have been shite if they were forced back." Exactly. And unfortunately, the international teams are going to call up the best players. If you are one of the best teams in the Premier League, you're going to get um, you're going to get called up, and the club will has to work around those situations. Um, okay, come on, Ray. This is my issue with Arsenal fans like Lawrence. Man City is clearly still cheating away the titles. How can you expect their competition to be cheats to the title? Title, delusional fan. I'm not delusional. I don't think any of us are delusional. We know that there has been financial doping when it comes to Man City. The issue is that they have not that they have spent money, but they have spent beyond their allotted amounts, and they have misrepresented where their money has been coming from. And in that situation, they have 20 international players, and they have been able to rotate. And when you give somebody like Pep Guardiola, who is probably the best manager in the world, and you give him the opportunity to rotate players effectively, they're pretty much gonna he's pretty much gonna manage his way through the season and be able to bring players in and still get the same performance levels as you would have for the first 11. And the thing about Manchester City is you could see it the last 5 or 6 games when we slipped up against Aston Villa. You could see that they were not going to loosen their grip on each and every game. Uh, there's no coincidence that Spain. It's no coincidence that Spain won the European Championships with Rodri in midfield. He is probably their most important player. Um, Rodri is Manchester City's most important player, a player who can make things happen going forward, but also hold things down going back as well. So, um, hold on a sec. I'll be right back.
Was one of the one. I guess Ray had to step out. Um, yeah, so I guess I do my best to fill in for him. Um, No, Ronnie, I don't think that we're not delusional. I think that we're not demanding the trophy or the title. We're just so short. Some fans don't understand that.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
me
And the
where
thing is, Alonso. I think you either, either okay. The Premier League have said they are continuing to play games. They are continuing to allow Manchester City to put teams out. So what do? You try to compete with the players that are on the field. You try to compete with the 20 international players that Pep Guardiola has at his disposal. You know, uh, and that's it. You try to compete with them, and until the Premier League say otherwise, you know, we will continue to compete with them. Um, but Brownie, until the FA do something about Manchester City, um, that's it. We just have to keep. And look, Manchester City, Liverpool have tried to fight with Man City for years, and tried to take them on a sporting level, and have not been able to do that. So that's just until the Premier League can regulate themselves and do something about it. That's going to continue that way. You know what I mean? Uh, Nick, uh, Nick Fowley. So we got a couple of new names tonight. Raymond was in, and Nick Fowley's here. If Arsenal get 90 points this season, but still not winning the league, is it considered a failure or a success? I think if you hit 90 points, that's a success, a successful season. Um, I think it's been ridiculous. Just mentioned Liverpool has been ridiculous that they have had to get 98 points, 99 points, 100 points in order to beat this Man City team. That's just off the charts. The things that Man City were doing in recent seasons. So, yeah, I have to consider it a success. They didn't get 90 points last season, so it's not a failure. It's not a success. We had a very very good season last season, and now Mikel Arteta is trying to look for the smallest of margins. Indeed, our aim should be 100 points this season. Yeah, I mean that's a high aim, Raymond, to go for. I'll set it at 94. I'll set it at 94 and be happy with the way things are going. It was good seeing Lawrence talking. I think he enjoyed being out there and getting himself on the video as well. Misfit, the captain, didn't play in the Euros, yet he was on the bench. So did Odegaard? Odegaard was on the bench yesterday, Alonso.
yeah, and I think that's so he could play the academy kids. And he came off with this on the second half. Which is fine, I think a guy like Odegaard needs to play somewhere. Might it be the first or second half. But when he did come on, he came on really, really nicely. Him and Trossard, I think, played the most. I think Trossard also came on the second half, I think. So, they seem ready to go for the season to start, it seems like. So, really impressed. Like I said, I was impressed by Vieira. Hopefully, he can stay injury free. And Trossard looks good to go as well as Odegaard. So,
Mhm.
I think those from the senior players stood out the most. Partey, I guess, also had a good first half. But yeah, I think Nketiah has some good runs. Just that Bournemouth, the defenders just got carded and wouldn't let him go through, and so you know it is what it is with Nketiah. But yeah, I have to. And Ben White also played too. So
Yeah.
and Jorginho came on in the second half. So basically Arteta was playing his academy kids, and then and had a lot of the regulars come on in the second
Yeah.
half.
Look, I think you have to give one area, especially if you're telling me that Odegaard was on the bench, you have to give Nwaneri the option to play and give him the shirt and let him go out there and perform. You can't inhibit him by having Odegaard to be, hung over him in a sense. So let him go and have that freedom to play. Odegaard will have bigger games coming up and down the line as well. Got to go for about 10 to 15 minutes. A fuel tanker just pulled up to my coach to top off my fuel level off.
And good luck, Stephen.
Yeah, good luck, Stephen. Indeed.
Yeah, but I think I was on Gary Ryan's podcast last night whenever I was watching the game. I watched along, and Gary was mentioning how Nketiah got the armband and not Ben White, which leads me to believe that Nketiah is probably on his way out.
Yeah, what was that?
Nketiah could be on his way out if he had a captain's armband last night.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned that earlier. He's probably going to go to Marseille. It's time for Eddie Nketiah to go and play games as well. He's 24 years old. Mikel Arteta tried him in the earlier part of the season and give him chances. I think Mikel Arteta has been more than fair with him as well. Give him chances, and it's time for Eddie Nketiah to move on. Did you watch the game? Tiger and Gunnar, I was not able to see the game, but I did. I did watch the highlights afterwards, and so it was kind of late at my time. So it was really a West Coast game as well. Arsenal and Canada have standards to do things the right way, indeed. MLS teabag Hein, Nwaneri looked good last night. Exactly. Fabio Vieira did not hurt his cause at all. Fabio Vieira did not hurt his cause at all. Timber, glad to have Timber back. My delusional fan comment wasn't aimed at you, but it was aimed at Arsenal fans who demand the title next season when City are still financially doping. It's not demanding a title, it's just hoping, it's just that we be competitive again with Man City and fight right till the end with them as well. Evening, Miss Melina. Thanks for dropping by. Off topic, don't be mad. Would you rather play for PSG, Inter, or Atletico? Good question. PSG are kind of a plastic club, in my opinion. Atletico have a very, very strong following behind them, but I think I'd go for Inter Milan. They have a history behind them as well. I think that's what I'd go for. Nick Faldo, that guy could play golf. Go Canada. World Women's. Oh, they did win the gold. Start off the Olympics. Okay.
Nope.
Not yet.
Gold medal.
The armband in Europe, apart from the UK, is given to the player who's been at the club the longest rather than because they're leaders. So maybe that's why Eddie had the armband. Yeah, maybe seniority. Yeah, it's a good shout, Brownie. Seniority. Odegaard was on the bench, yep, and sprinkle some magic around when he came on as well. Moss, it's about giving enough minutes to everybody and just getting those legs going again when they were out back from holiday. It's not that I could have watched it, Moss. It's just that with workload and things like that, I was feeling tired and wasn't able to see it. But yeah, listen, Arsenal a 1-1 draw. The penalties were quite good in the end, Alonso, as well. We put away some nice penalties with some confidence there, and I always think you should end a training session with penalties. It just helps to keep things loose, and there's going to be some penalty competitions throughout the season as well. So it's always nice just to get players, and we had some academy players. I'm not sure exactly how many of them took a penalty, but they look quite accomplished and quite accustomed to taking the penalties. PSG, There you go. Brownies like PSG were only created in the 70s. They aren't even the original Paris club. But on about French club, it's a real shame about Bordeaux folding tonight.
Yeah,
Cancelled. They went out
one
of
of our
business.
former yeah, one of our former captains played for Bordeaux. And I feel bad for them. I feel bad for our fans. I feel bad for their former players, their current players. It's brutal because we played him. I think we played him a couple of times in preseason. I think
Yeah.
recently. So just to see how it's funny because I had an oral surgery today, and the person who was helping out, one of the nurses, was actually from France. True story. And we were talking about French footballers, and we were talking about how much Arsenal had an influence on Arsenal back in back later as the late '90s or mid '90s, even until now. There's been a French influence on the team, and I was telling her about Laurent Koscielny during Bordeaux, and how reading the news this morning was really horrible to find that out. Of course, Laurent Koscielny to some fans lived in a fashion that was not excusable.
Yeah.
Though I told her like we don't know the whole story, and would never come out as such. But I also think Laurent Koscielny was the best center back in the Emirates era. So that said,
Yeah, I mean the Emirates era has now got Saliba in it. You know,
right, but I'm talking about like
certainly in the
before
first
Saliba.
6, 7 years of it,
Yeah.
or 10 years
Um,
maybe. Yeah,
so, and I told her his story about how he became unknown to in my opinion, a world class defender. And he played a lot of games hurt too. So anyway, but yeah, Bordeaux was it was such a sad thing to hear about this morning.
yeah. I hadn't heard about that, so that's why I love this community. We get together, we talk about some things, and you all can educate me on some things as well. And Bordeaux going into administration, you know, such a classic old club. Bordeaux is no more. Sad, big tradition, and people who are against implementing financial fair play and PSR rules, maybe Bordeaux and other clubs like that can be a reason or a case in point as to why we need clubs to live within their means and to have a 3 year financial footing which is sustainable and you sell to buy and you balance the books that way. They're going to try to start new, says Moss. So hopefully that can happen and because there is a lot of fans there that are you know, did not create this situation, but have to suffer under this situation. So, listen, I want to shout out Nick Fadley, and Raymond who were in here earlier. So it's always good to have new faces joining this community. I'm starting off a bit slow this season through the summer because, admittedly, we've been doing this for about 6 seasons now, and with the European Championships, it's been slow. There's not been a lot of news. Things are starting to happen now. We do sometimes do pre-game shows about an hour before kickoff. We do this Thursday night show, Thursday night forum, same time every week, and we do a Sunday show as well. So, very welcome to check us out, Nick and Raymond, if you're around, and stick around if you're around. Really appreciate having you in here as well. You joined the community that there's not much work for moderators in this community because I'm very happy to report there's not many people spamming. Um, Looking back at it now, it's probably a good thing we haven't grown hugely, but we have a small uh, group of subscribers. Come here. for the information. So what we try to do is we look ahead, try to break information. Um, Not that we're in the nose or anything like that. It's just trying to look at the market and having an understanding of what could happen down the line and try to bring you information before many other podcasts talk about it. And again, it's not about being in the know, and it's about knowing about Arsenal. Um, been following Arsenal since 1987, uh, from George Graham through Arsene Wenger and everything after that as well. So we're here to celebrate the trophies, but as an Arsenal fan, I understand what Mikel Arteta is being accused of in terms of um, binning off domestic competitions. It's something that we're Arsenal fan circle here, so I do like to bring in a collection of different views on this channel. So as you watch more and more episodes of us, you'll see there are other individuals who think slightly differently to us. Like they will ask the pertinent questions. We're not all believers of Mikel Arteta, but we do believe what we're seeing as well. So yeah, we're here for the trophies. We understand why Mikel Arteta has tried to make that jump from winning FA Cups to winning Premier Leagues. It's not been easy, Alonso, in the last 4 years to do that. Arsenal were a club in the last 10 years who were able to win FA Cups, I think, 3 times out of 4 seasons or 5 seasons. And then we won in 2020 under Mikel Arteta. Now, people will say that's because of um, other managers' players, but that coach, that manager, has to fashion those players and go and actually win a trophy. So Mikel Arteta has tried to now make the jump from fifth and sixth place winning FA Cups to actually winning a Premier League. And Alonso, we've witnessed that over the last few years.
Yeah, and the podcast, we talked about it for like 4 years now. 5 years now? 5 years, 5 years now. So,
We're coming up on season 7, really.
well,
So
since I've been on,
yeah,
since I've been on 2022,
yeah,
we've seen a dip at first, but then the belief in some fans is torn. And to rebuild it like Arteta has been quite incredible. Though fans, traditional fans want, still living the glory days of Arsene Wenger, and they're afraid to step out that shadow. And nowadays, we've had to spend more money to, because City and Chelsea set that bar years ago. It's unfortunate to me. I think that's kind of unfair. Um, but to create new Liverpool, they did it kind of right way with a great manager, and I think that's how Arteta should duplicate in the sense that he did win a trophy, he won a title, and Champions League title as well, with not that much money compared to cities. So I think because of the Saudi money and the Russian money, we had to compete. They had to spend more money to the players we want, and they want to come here. They want to be here. So I think someone has said that they're going to try to spend less this year, but also spend wisely because there are players out there that are cheaper. Um, but not that it's not my money, but I think they're just trying to still, because they spent a lot last year, they're trying to find talent, but cheaper talent.
yeah. Brownie said the French TV deal collapsed a couple of weeks ago, and as a result, every club apart from PSG is struggling. Martinelli, Gabriel, and Havertz showing up in LA and get to meet Calafiori, big Vianito coming up. It got halved, I hear. Shocking loss. I bet the players refuse to take a 50% cut because of it. All right, Nick's asked the question. You generally believe will Arsenal win the the league this season. Look, I thought we would do it last season as well, but I'm one of those that tend to believe a little bit more easily. With our on Arsenal fan circle, we try to encapsulate everybody's different views, and there are many Arsenal fans who want to see it. Lawrence, for instance, will not believe that Calafiori is a done deal until he's sitting there signing the papers and holding the shirt up with Edu and Mikel Arteta. And, Lawrence, you will get to see that soon. I think the margins have closed. Arsenal have closed in on the margins. Each and every year we've gained points and increased. Um, Not last season, but the season before, we collapsed quite dramatically away to Nottingham Forest and at home to Brighton on Easter Sunday. And, that was quite a chastening experience for me. Last season, we were strong, winning 15 of 17 games. So I do believe it's about the margins, and those who disagreed with Ramsdale moving on in lieu of Raya, we did see the benefit of that. I do believe David Raya is a slightly, marginally, tiny percentage more better than Ramsdale. And by doing these things and locking down that left back position between Zinchenko and Kivior, replacing that with Timber and Calafiori, we are going to improve again. Uh, Eddie Nketiah moving on, Alonso, we're going to improve again. These players, we're raising the level of the squad. We're raising the levels of the players who are going to be warming up and getting ready to come in 65, 70, 75 minutes into games.
Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't get it. Never switched on, as they say. He had given it many opportunities, and unfortunately, he has not been able to capitalize on opportunities. Now, you wonder why. But yeah, I'd be more than happy to see him gone. I think Zinchenko was never it for me. You could say, well, he's kind of out of position, or he never really got the opportunity in midfield. But to me, when you're really busy being a cheerleader for your teammates, then you had nothing to prove. But scoring a couple of goals here and there, every far in between. He's cost us in games with his poor defense, and he's made Megalesh look horrible. Um, Here we are.
Yeah.
On one thing, he is a raw talent, and the first season he came in January and had some slip ups. But last year he was very, very good, which I wonder, this is why I question, the Calafiori move. But Arteta also said that he's going to do anything to improve this team. Um, Though we also forget Timber was also hurt majority of the year last year, and he only played the first game and last game of the season.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of that. We saw a lot of good things out of those two games he played. Um, but also wondering if Calafiori will also be deputizing Megalesh, because that was Kiviar's job to do as well. So the good thing about it is, like, Arteta loves when players can play multiple positions, and I can see that happening with Timber and Calafiori, um, deputizing Megalesh as well as playing left back.
Gary,
Gary.
how are you?
Hello there. Hey there, Ray. Hello, Alonso.
Hello.
Everybody
Yeah.
in the chat. Hello.
Yeah, so listen, Nick is new to the channel. He's asking you, Gary, do you genuinely believe Arsenal will win the league this season?
Yeah. I mean, if not, then what's all this for? What's all this for? What,
Yeah,
if finishing
love
second,
that, actually, Gary. You're right. I love the spirit and the enthusiasm you got, because you're right. Arsenal fans, and not only Arsenal fans, every football fan wake up on the first day of the season knowing that anything is possible for their club.
Yeah.
Anything is possible for Arsenal.
We
anything is
We didn't
possible.
finish second not to try to win it again. We try to win it every year. But when you finish second twice, at some point you got to turn the
Yeah,
corner. You got to
yeah,
cross the line, right? I
yeah.
mean,
And the
it's
the only
and
thing
yeah.
the only
Go
thing
ahead.
that can hurt that, Gary, would be a huge amount of suspensions or a lot of injuries to key
Yeah,
players. You
yeah.
know.
And they're doing everything they need to. Right? People said, "Oh, we need to get more depth, get better players." Right now, it sounds like that's exactly what they're trying to do. It sounds like
Yeah.
they're not gonna, they gotta let some players go, players that I think they need to let go, players that probably should want to go, and bring in players that that can compete for starting positions as opposed to what we have now are players that we're lucky if they get to play, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, no, Arsenal should expect to win. They're doing all.
Yeah.
This is it, there will be a time when those young players that we think we depend on will go, is it going to happen here or not? And they need to know it will happen here.
Yeah. And Alonso, that's the measure of it. You lose something, you don't win it twice. What do? Do you give up or do you go back again and give it even more? You know?
True. True.
Yeah, and I think, what Gary had said before, we basically wasted away in Nketiah, Nelson, Mrs. Rose, even to a certain extent, their talent and their talent levels. We're not going to win the league with, Nketiah, Reece Nelson, ESR on the bench,
Yeah.
because if you leave those in, then their confidence is not to win this league. Their confidence level is just to be on a bench just because you collecting a paycheck with that, what have you. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think you guys always talk about levels, right? And
Hmm.
the way to improve is that you have your targets. And I think last year, Arsenal did a good job of figuring out who they wanted to get in on the team, like Rice, like Timber, Havertz to a certain extent. But we need players that are ready to play now and that have experience. And I think whenever we get a guy like Calafiori, uh, who who's a very good defender and still very young, is going to get better. And you bring in hopefully more players that have shown like in Europe that what they could do, and or South America if they go that route, then they're up for going for a team that's ready to win the league. And like
Yeah.
Gary had said in Newbury, that they have been there 2 years in a row, and last year they were really really close. Um, and also Villa's getting better too. So you gotta watch out for them because 4 or 5 years ago they were just a mid-table team. They just need to get a right coach that will coach them and believe in themselves. So they're also a threat as well all of a sudden. So wherever they spend that, they have to spend wisely, and they've done that the past 2 years. To get those players in that will help them win the league, not
Yeah.
just bench players, but players that can rotate.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. Um, Browning said, "Yeah, I think you've summed this up correctly, Browning. This is what we do. We chat about what's getting reported about transfers rather than being the ins and outs, and we try to apply some level of common sense to what's happening. We'll probably comment a little bit about Mikel Marino as well. That's the latest name that's being touted. Yeah, Jasper Park. A lot of bad stuff going on with the fires in the north. Sadly burned away. Massive tourist place, and that smoke been killing me here in Saskatoon. Um, yeah, look, you ask for Gary and Stan, and you get Gary. It's not so bad after all, right? He's talking about Tony now. I see a little bit further in the chat box as well. Moss, you should try being here. It's bloody awful. Yeah. So I think we forget about down here in the U.S. of A. We forget about the fires that are going on in Canada. Red John said if we get Marino, Fabian Ruiz, and Gyökeres, we win the league 100%. I think I would just say, and I'll go to Alonso and Gary. I would just say that Mourinho is the more likely. I'm not sure about Ruiz or Gyökeres. What do you think, Alonso?
That's a question again, right?
Huh?
That's the question again.
Red John said he thinks we get Mourinho, Fabian Ruiz, and Gyökeres. I think Mourinho is the most likely of these three.
Yeah, I think Mourinho certainly fits that mentor that he's been looking for.
That boosts the midfield, yeah.
Because though I heard that Partey wants to stay, but you can't depend on him. He's now been a rotational player coming off the bench, starting some games when needed rested. I think last year, people have made the argument that we brought in Rice as number 6. Some people can say they brought in for number 8. But I'm still kind of wondering if what position fits in best on this current system.
Yeah.
I think that he played very well as a partner to Odegaard. I think having number 6 like Partey and Jorginho worked so can only take you so far. So having a guy like Mourinho could really help us Arsenal, help this current Arsenal squad. And it's kind of cool that we have depth in that number 6, 8 position. And then we have Nwaneri, who can also play that position, number 8 as well. With all that said, Mikel Arteta has he's always been the one to look out to make his team better in certain positions. So he'll use whoever he has regardless. Because I think he's learning how to use his roster better. So hopefully this year will be a step above him as it'll be more learned this year than it was the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Gary, where do you stand on those three links? Mourinho, Gyökeres, and Luis.
I think. Well, it all depends on the sales for me. So, if Emile Smith Rowe is one player out, and if Nketiah is another one, and they get Nelson. I mean, that's close to 100 mil right there for those 3 players. Plus, we have money that I believe, plan to spend on players. We might have just enough to get all 4 of the players. And I've always kidded that we needed 10 players, but we saw how close we were last season. The problem, but the thing also that I keep in mind is that we're not playing just for a Premier League, right? We don't. You don't get to choose. You don't typically know which trophy run you're going to go for is actually going to pan out. That's why you got to play for all 4, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to have to do, and that's why we definitely need the more players. So that if the Premier League is the one, then we're set for it. If it's one of the domestic cups, we're set there. Champions League, we're set there. We just need to have more players to make sure we can cover ourselves. We still have a set of players, or we have to get lucky. I think we got lucky. The thing is, we kind of got lucky last season, right? In the sense that our center backs played pretty much 90% of the games, right? That 90% of the minutes
high level
that are needed, but we need depth so they don't have to do that, and they can be healthier and more informed when they play these games, and maybe that'll help as well. So those 4 players sound like a good idea. We can do it, but we need to you need to sell.
Gotta move.
Gotta move some of those players out, and no matter what, we're gonna have, because I think the one thing you've noticed is that Arsenal isn't. They were going to hold on to their players until they can sell. They're not going to buy. So
you got to be an old timer before Arsenal are going to let you go too easily. They won't let you go in your prime. That's for sure. We'll talk about Emile Smith Rowe a little bit later, and that's probably really pertinent to it as well. But Gary Calafiori coming in now, the deal, it seems like it's been going on forever and ever. I mean, it was a done deal, but now it's officially a done deal. It was always going to be Arsenal for Calafiori.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's. I think it looks like it's slow, but I don't think it had anything to do with Arsenal.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing. People are still going to say, "Oh, it took forever," but it wasn't Arsenal that was holding it up. And typically, it's always us going back and forth, back and forth. But I think we put a number down. They said yes. It was whatever else that was going on outside of our control. So,
Yeah.
um, luckily, we are. I think I don't know. I think he's about to he's getting his physical or something like that.
Yeah, I think he should be
So
joining up with them very soon, along with Havertz and Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
those
So
are the players that are joining up next.
that'd be an interesting game against Manchester United. We'll see.
Yeah.
Players.
Hey, we always lose to United in preseason games, but we beat them in the league, So
Yeah.
we didn't want to take it. You didn't want to take it last year, but we'll take it this year. You should have a bollocks meter where every guest gives a rating on how trustworthy is transfer rumor. LOL. That sounds like a Stan thing. He wants to hold up a rating of how good this rumor is. Alonso Calafiori, it's going to distance Zinchenko and Kivior from the starting lineup for majority of games. Makes you happy, Alonso?
For Zinchenko, yeah. Because to me, he's not. He's not the player we need. He's not quite the player we need to get where we're at. Because he seems to get caught a lot of times when playing these big clubs, and like I said before, I kind of realized that it wasn't always Megadeth's fault because my coworker, he's newer, and he's also an Arsenal fan. We agreed that there are often times where Megadeth is often off on an island by himself trying to defend,
Yeah.
especially Salah, and the bigger wingers on the bigger clubs. So you can make the argument, well, he doesn't play. His typical position is midfield, but Arteta doesn't trust him enough to play him in that position. And here we are, like I said, Ray. His first 6 months he struggled. So does Liverpool. But he came on last year when Zinchenko got hurt, and Tommy Tomiyasu for that matter. He looked like a player that was going to be here for a long time. Unfortunately, it seems like he's on his way out as well. So, Zinchenko, I'm not sad about. However, here we are. I would like to have seen him play. I would like to have seen him play a little bit longer at Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely. And then there was three. There was two, and then there was three, and now there's four. Who's the other three in the Magnificent Seven? I don't know who they are. Tony's one of them. Lawrence. Stan, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Good evening to everyone on the show. Everyone in the chat box.
Hello.
You might have heard about this player. We're talking about him now. It's Ricardo Calafiori. He's a new player that nobody's ever heard of in the last month, and Arsenal just signed him. It's a done deal.
Well, I haven't seen any pictures of him holding up a shirt or sat at the desk myself.
Sounds like Lawrence here.
That's why. Well,
I don't think that's going to happen because he's not going. I don't think he's going to London.
He's going to Calafiori, California.
Or a picture of him with Edu with his arm around him or something.
Yeah.
But
at the grill, by the grill.
Excuse me. It sounds like it's moving along, but I've not had 100% confirmation. I don't think anyone has really. You know.
Well, our fan Fabrizio has tweeted.
Oh
We
yeah, did
didn't-
he say is it concrete?
I think we got the here we go, but I'm not 100% sure now. Making me second guess myself.
Just, I mean, it's the physical, which is we know that when that happens, that's pretty close.
It's all but,
If
you
he's
know.
if he's actually in situ somewhere having the medical, then yeah, happy days, right?
I think he's typed it up as a draft and it's ready to go. You know, Fabrizio has. So, anyway, that's the first one in the door. You know, Calafiori, by the looks of it. We got this young goalkeeper for the academy. Now, I guess we should get to the next thing. Should we talk about Emile Smith Rowe next, Gary? Stan? Alonso?
Talk about who?
Emile Smith Rowe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I've already said. I mean, I understand the affection of the academy players, but when they're not getting combined 1,000 minutes in a season, well, Nketiah probably is, but not Emile Smith Rowe and Nelson.
Yeah.
At some point, you're gonna have to let them go and experience football elsewhere. I think they've held on to him a little bit longer than I would have liked because either for injury purposes or just they never fit. I mean,
Yeah.
there was many opportunity for them to come in and play, and Arteta has chosen not to do that. So I don't, I always say that he doesn't really have to say much. I just look at what he does, right? Those players are sitting on a bench and not playing.
Yeah.
So why are they here, right?
Yeah.
You went out, you gave Nketiah a new deal. His minutes have, steadily gone down and down. His the confidence and trust that he puts in him hasn't been there. Like when we need a goal late in the game, is he going to Nketiah? No, but he's a striker. No, still not going to him. Those types of things.
Yeah.
Saka is burnt out. Is he going to go to Nelson? Nope. He's going to stick with Nketiah, burn him out. Right. So if you can't trust him to come in and spell, Saka, then we need somebody that is in that realm that can come in and actually take minutes from Saka. And he's not doing it. Right. Emile Smith Rowe, once again, everybody says, these players came in and saved part of Arteta's career. But, but same thing can be said about Jesus and Zinchenko, and we're ready to let them go. Right? They came in and they actually pushed the team to a different level. We get to that level and you realize, guess what? We need to go even higher than that.
Yeah.
And they're not at that point. So yeah, no, I think it's the players should want to go because they should want to do, actually go out there and compete for starting positions and more minutes.
Play football. Yeah.
Play football.
Being young. Alonso, I think we've gone through a true transformation of the whole squad over 4 years. Mikel Arteta, we were talking about this last week. The good part of this, right? We looked at Bournemouth, the first game under Mikel Arteta's charge, and he turned the team upside down. We've moved on from a Socrates, we've moved on from a Lichtsteiner. We've got great players like Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes. But for me, anyway, and I know some fans are going to feel the same way as me. Here's a player that I had invested a lot in, but Mikel Arteta either didn't trust him or he didn't have the fitness levels to sustain full seasons. And by his omission now, us fans are probably coming around to the idea that it's just best to get some money for Emile Smith Rowe,
Yeah, even though he Gary has said the affectionate for Tony's academy kids like Emile Rowe. It's a shame because, like you said, Ray, I think Arteta wants all his players to be fit, for them to play. If they're not fit enough, then he won't play them. Because he knows there's always an injury concern with them. So, he's a very talented player, but when he's hurt, he's useless in Arteta's mind. And it's kind of disappointing because, you want to wish that, he would come on and do some good things for Arsenal. He reminds me a lot of Jack Wilshere as far as the way he came up the academy,
Yeah.
the way he played whenever he's on the pitch, and the way he bossed certain players around. But unfortunately, we don't have time to waiting around for him to get healthy. Because, like I said, like you guys have said, that we're trying to win a title, we can't hold on to players anymore, and it kind of sucks because I want him to stay, but we don't have time to be just wasting and Reece Nelson and Nketiah. These guys who've been wasting their careers because we want them to succeed. And unfortunately, we might as well get money from them, or we still can. And it seems like Fulham have come up with a good offer. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be fools not to pass that. It'd be fools us to pass that up. And Nketiah should have left a long time ago when he was left on the free. And it's just too much, man. But yeah, things will come about. They'll find a new player, and it'll be okay.
Yeah, like I still remember Stan that 2021-22 season where he had those 6 months and he couldn't stop scoring, But Emile Smith Rowe, what do you think about the situation?
Well, my sentiment on Emile Smith Rowe leaving Arsenal is kind of the same about any player that Arsenal decide to let go. I'm fine with it as long as there is a replacement coming in, and hopefully that replacement is an upgrade on the one that just left. If that happens, for me, that's a perfect scenario. You should just always be looking to try and upgrade where you can.
Yeah.
Teabag notwithstanding, because obviously I've got plans for young Teabag. He's not going anywhere. But I get the sentiment for Emile Smith Rowe when he's one of the ones that's come through the ranks. But, with the kind of money that we're spending as well, and I think the money that we're going to be continuing to spend, you've got to have money coming in as well. You've got to have money coming in, and it's a good chunk of change I think that we're going to be getting for Emile Smith Rowe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as long as there's a replacement and it's an upgrade, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it does seem to me we're going back to the days of Aston Villa when they wanted Emile Smith Rowe 2 seasons ago for 35 million. I think was right about that amount of money when other people were talking about Buendia and they were talking about James Maddison at the time. Well, here we are. We're right back there with 35 million coming from Fulham. Personally, I would have liked us to try to squeeze a few more million out of Fulham, but you've all said that it's a pretty decent chunk of change, so we should really take it to be able to go and conduct our business and get the players that we really need to see indoors. So any issues with the price, Stan? So you're pretty good with 35 million. Get the money.
Well, it's 35
reinvest
million quid for something that we don't use.
Yeah.
It's 35 million for something that's just sat in the garage with a bit of tarpaulin over it. So yeah, I'm taking it.
Yeah. Right, and I think that's fair, Gary. When Stan puts it that way, it's an asset that we have in the garage that we've not used in a while, and the engine runs right now. We're getting 35 million.
Yep. No, I mean it's either we don't use it or we can't use it because it's in the shop all the time, right? So
Yeah.
we've got a couple of
Pretty much.
there's players. So we got two
Pimp my
sides
ride.
to that thing.
Something else
So,
needs
yeah.
fixing.
And you know what? And anything we do, I think we're at the point now. We might need to improve our starting 11, but we also definitely need to make sure that we bring up the floor. Right? We can't
Yeah.
do that if we keep holding on to the players that aren't either allowed to or aren't going to get us, better. So we need to move on. So, yep.
All right.
That's kind
I
of
mean, that's a tough one. Some of us fans are going to feel like this is a player that's going to go. And I want to see how Emile Smith Rowe is going to do at Fulham this coming season if he goes to Fulham, and maybe compare him to Teabag or Fabio Vieira and how he does at Arsenal. Red John says Smith Rowe wasn't even good enough to sit on the bench of Real Madrid. So yes, he has to go. That's tough. That's tough. Ricardo should be in LA now, wined and dine Cronkies and have medical. Moss has approved the seal. It's the mouse. The Moss, here we go, has been pronounced. Emile Smith Rowe, our new record sale, perhaps. 35 million. That's our record sale. Uh, Arsenal have been criticized for not being able to have higher record sales than just 35 million in this day and age. Red John said he'd love to see Nketiah go. He was so bad at that Bournemouth friendly.
What's interesting about that is I've heard a lot of people actually saying Nketiah was actually had a good game, and I'm like,
yeah, I think
his only currency for me is goals.
right.
Because in my eyes, he doesn't give me enough in other areas, enough to like go, all right, that's fine. He did that, but he didn't get his
Yeah,
goals. But for
yeah.
me, he had a
And
couple
this,
opportunities in the game yesterday to get a
yeah.
shot off, and he was just like poor on his touches and
I'm
didn't get
gonna
that
say,
opportunity.
from what you're saying, Gary, I'm arriving to the opinion that, and this is not a criticism of Ian Wright. Eddie Nketiah and Ian Wright are very similar players when they're not scoring goals. But the difference was Ian Wright would score goals and
Well,
he
see,
would take
that's the thing.
chances.
They're not similar players because if you can say if I put right on the pitch, I'm going to get goals more than not, then you're
Mhm.
going to do it, right? He might have an off game where he doesn't give you the goal, but and he doesn't give you anything else. But more times than not, you're getting goals, right?
Yeah.
I
And
think
Ian
that is
Wright had pace as well.
like there's got to be something about your game that you can lean on and say, you know what, he might not do this, but I'll get that out of that
Yeah.
player, right? So
Yeah.
it's not the same. I wish he gave us other things that made up for the lacking goals, like lack of goals, but the man defended well, right? He could play on the
Yeah.
back line, midfield, wherever. He actually brought something more to the table. In Kenya, not scoring,
Yeah. And I
not doing
think
enough for me in the other areas.
Lacazette was good at bringing Saka and Martinelli into games as well. He was good at being able to find players. Eddie's general game is quite poor in that respect. Red John said, "I'd love to see Eddie go. He was so bad at that Bournemouth friendly." There's been mixed outcomes. How can a striker have 10 chances and not score one? Preaching to the choir, preaching to the choir here, Red John. I sat beside Gary MetLife Stadium as he became more and more frustrated with Eddie and Nketiah as the game wore on.
Mm.
In a game where the opposition isn't even trying that hard. Yeah, it's preseason friendly. And look,
I don't.
Bournemouth,
Bournemouth looked like a team like they were
they're a good
beaten up
team.
by they were
They're
a
well
little
drilled.
handsy, and they put a little bit of pressure on those young players
Well,
who held up to them. I think in that
you
first half.
remember you remember that league game? They're the team that put the studs down Saka's shin.
Mhm.
They drew blood from Saka, so they are a very tough physical team in the Premier League, and they can play a little bit too. So um, that their manager has them, and he's from the Catalan region or the same region as Arteta. So he knows they know they're a good outfit. Bournemouth are. Deserve be pleased by Eddie already. So, and I think the news is it's going to be a loan with an obligation to buy next season, and that's fine. It's just going to be delayed money, but it's something that can go into the books. The cheek Nketiah has to take Henri's shirt and be goalless is honestly appalling. He should have never touched Henri's shirt. Look, there's a number 7, there's a 10, and there's a 14, and they're big shirts to wear at Arsenal. Bukayo Saka wears it well. I have to say, Bukayo Saka wears it well. At least Aubameyang brought honor to Henri's shirt, won the Golden Boot, when Liverpool had prime Salah, Mane, and he still matched their output. Yeah, Aubameyang for a time there was scoring a lot of goals. So yeah, that's the news. Eddie Nketiah moving on. I think Leicester City are interested in Reece Nelson and Emile Smith Rowe. Probably about to leave for Fulham for 35 million. And
I also heard that, sorry, Ray, I
Yeah,
heard
go ahead.
that Reece Nelson was also, I heard that West Ham are also in for Reece Nelson as well.
So what's your take on Nketiah, Stan? Red John's asking.
Again, it's no different to what I said about Emile Smith Rowe. You know, if players are leaving, as they need to be up. You know, I'm hoping that an upgrade is coming in. But for the player himself, it's always nice when you can have a forward that's come through the ranks. You know, that really feels nice, doesn't it? And we've tried to give Eddie every opportunity to be that person. You know, he's had plenty of game time. And how old is he now? He's what,
24.
25.
Almost 25. I mean, you know, he should be settled somewhere now. And it's just
think about it. Rice and Ben White. Yeah, I was just gonna say Rice and Ben White are 1 year older than like Nketiah, and we're talking, and that's where we want. Like, how far away is he from those players?
A bit, quite a bit.
We still sometimes sort of almost fall into that trap of talking about Eddie as if he's just turned 21. Those days have long gone. You know, he should be settled somewhere, and unfortunately, it's not going to be at Arsenal. So this has to be the summer now, I think, where we should be able to move him on. And I think Marseille looks like they're coming in for him. That's the last thing I heard, that it looked like it was quite strong. And what a place for him to land. It's a massive stadium, got massive support. It's a nice place to live. You know, he's going to have a big fan base around him there. You know, he could carve out a nice little niche for himself over there in the French league. Why not?
Yeah, as you said, and we know Tony's big on Marseille because he had Saliba staying there and never playing for Arsenal, competitive game ever.
And hasn't Aubameyang just left there?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think Aubameyang's just left there, so there's room for a forward. Funny, isn't it, that one of our forwards leaves and then they're going to replace him with another one of our forwards?
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
maybe Marseille is like a feeder club or something like that.
Red Johnson,
or actually our elephant's graveyard.
Whatever way you want to look at it, right? Balogun should have stayed, and Eddie.
Cemetery.
Yeah, Balogun should have stayed, and Eddie should have gone. You know, it's unfortunate in this day and age where the agents and negotiations come into these things into play, and maybe the timing of each player was not right for their Arsenal career. Hard to know. I don't even know if Balogun has really set the world alight either. Is Balogun much better than Eddie Nketiah now? You know, it's a legitimate
There's been other
question.
forwards starting ahead of him for the United States team, hasn't there? He's not an automatic first choice, but when he decided to play for them, they were making him the poster boy, weren't they? Almost. And I've noticed when I've seen
For the
them
World
playing,
Cup. Yeah.
that he's not like a main starter.
Yeah, that's a question that usually pops up. I think we shall all reiterate and restate our position on this. If Arteta doesn't win a trophy this season, will you guys turn Arteta out? I don't think I will turn Arteta out unless we have an absolute collapse where we fall out of the Champions League places. We finish 5th and 6th, 20 points off the lead. Then you would have to start asking serious questions. I don't think that's going to happen. Of course, you can compete with it for the title and not win it, but we're looking to now go that extra step forward. So that would be the only situation where I would go Arteta out if it really started to look bad and started to fall apart. Who wants to go next?
I gotta go. So, for me, it seems like, to me, it's about progress. because we came so closer than the year before, to beating City for a title. In those games that we lost, I think we just were outplayed. So I think the players are there. Just need a little bit more to kind of get us over the hill, so to speak. Um, Penalty football, I think, in my opinion, was also a learning curve for Arteta. Given the fact that he had a thin bench, he didn't use the roster properly in the Bayern Munich games. Um, he's got to do better at FA Cup, though he has won. He needs to see more out of that as well. Maybe work more with the youth, the academy kids, to see what they could do, and not give up on them. I think there's talent there as well with those academy kids coming up. So all those will accumulate, I think, in Arteta maybe getting over the hump this year. We have more experienced players now, like Declan Rice, like Timbers, play more, and Havertz. He has to, use that motivation like he did last year to the second half of the year to even be better. And we're going to need him more so than we did last year to kind of get that going, get that the goal scoring going. And I think it'll be okay. I think you're going to talk about how important Trezor was last year as well. He scored 10 goals too. So there's a lot to be proud of with Arteta. Now, just not do or die this year, of course, but I think we're almost there to a point where you could say we're one of the favorites, if not the favorite, this year. So I don't think we should be worried about that. I think, all teams will come together. I think we're getting new players in this year, and I think we'll be in a better spot this time around.
Stan?
For me, it's like when it comes to Arsenal, I wish that Arsenal was like my FIFA career save, where you're into your 6th season, you haven't lost a single game, and you've won everything from start to finish, and maybe had about 4 or 5 goals conceded against you in those 5 or 6 seasons. But the reality is, obviously, I'm playing an amateur setting. But the reality, I'm playing like Harlem. It's like Harlem Globetrotters, but football. But the reality is, I know that during the course of a season, that my team Arsenal, they're going to lose games, and I'm okay with that. But when I say that I'm okay with that, when we lose games, for me, it's all about the manner of the loss. If you do everything that you can, but you're not the best team on the day, and your opponents are better than you, you take it on the chin. But if it's a loss whereby players aren't putting a shift in, they're walking around, they're being sloppy, they're making stupid back passes to let a forward in to score a goal, or the goalkeeper decides to start throwing the ball into his own net, things like that, then I'm going to get vexed.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Mikel Arteta, I don't necessarily have to measure him by trophies, but it doesn't mean that if next season we finish in 5th place, that I'm not going to be asking questions, because that would be a catastrophe. Now that we've maintained this position of being challengers, we've got to continue to challenge, if not be the winners. Yeah. And hopefully we can pick up cups along the way. But I get it, we could get to finals and be outdone on the day. And again, it will be sad, but I can handle it as long as we gave everything on the day and we just got outdone by better tactics or a better team.
Yeah. Okay, so I think the 3 of us being pretty consistent there. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, this is where everybody comes with this Arteta in, Arteta out, and I go Arsenal in.
Hey, I didn't ask the question.
I'm answering. I'm answering. Can I not answer my way?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
No, but this comes into play in that, right? Like you're saying, if Arteta doesn't win, is he out? And my thing is, what's best for Arsenal, right? Is it? Oh, look at this guy. Jeez. Whatever. All right. So, is Arteta? If Arteta doesn't win, like for me, the ownership will let us know. Their ambitions. If he fails again, essentially, and doesn't win a trophy, the big ones, right? Because I think at this point, you can't come that close in Premier Leagues and not, at some point cross the line. Because how often do you get, second?
Yeah.
Many teams don't get that opportunity. So he's been there. He's done it different ways. Went out strong, then lost, then basically finished strong, but midway through, he's felt the pain both ways. So at some point, I always say he has to just break through and win it first time, right? Why do we always we keep learning? At some point we need to stop learning and start actually, finishing the job. So for me, if they say that he has to go, I'm for it. They want to hold on to him. I think there'll be context for that. Like
Okay.
if we are, if we're competing on all four fronts, and I mean competing in the sense that we are closer to winning more than one trophy in a season, then yeah, that might be what the ownership. That's all about the ownership. I didn't want him because I didn't want to be in a situation, right? I didn't want to be in a situation where they're comparing Arteta to managers with 10 plus years of experience who've won trophies elsewhere. That's not even a good comparison for me. You can't compare him to Klopp. You can't compare him to Pep. Ask those Klopp and Pep in their 6th year of managing where they would be if they were in Arteta's shoes. Their first 6 years, not 6 years in the Premier League. No,
First ever.
First 6 years of their career, where would they be? We expect. I mean, I feel like we're expecting him to be expecting too much. What 6-year manager has won? I don't think there's not. And if there is, it's a small list, right? First 6 years of your career, you win a trophy as a manager. Don't think it's done. You usually need experience. So they might, if they're gonna, you might, I can see us, like people said, it'll be 10 years.
Wenger did. Wenger did.
First 6 years in their career. How many managers have done that?
What season are we going into now under Arteta? Is it his 5th season?
He's 5.5 years as a manager for Arsenal.
5 seasons in the bag, okay?
5.5. He started in the mid. He started in January, right?
Season.
Yeah. So he's in. Yeah. So yeah, this will be his 6th year of managing Arsenal, right? But he's only done five. Yeah. So like I said, I like you give me a list of all these managers that have won in their 6th year, and I'll go, okay, he's falling behind. I don't think he is.
Yeah. No, I don't think he is. I think.
If it's Pep in his first 6 years, tell me what type of team did he have? We're still waiting for that world-class player, right? We're still waiting for that world-class player.
There's not a lot of managers that actually get to 6 years in the Premier League either. Isn't it? There's very few.
So, yeah, exactly. In the Premier League, exactly. Red John, I feel like if Ten Hag can win against Pep, it's not a high expectation to expect Arteta to win something. So, Arteta beat Pep Guardiola in an FA Cup semi-final in 2020 using the exact same tactics that Manchester United used against Pep this past May to win an FA Cup final. So the things that Ten Hag has done against Pep, I believe Arteta has already done as well against Pep.
First.
And,
He did it first.
He did. Well, he did first.
But nobody wants to count that because supposedly it wasn't his players, it wasn't his style. So Tuchel never won a Champions League because it wasn't his players.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't his style. So
Ten Hag, he only won because he looked at Mikel's template of when we done it in that semi-final.
Red John, our players have an expiration date, and we will have to start the process all over with the next generation. Or else we paid hundreds of millions for this squad for nothing. We paid hundreds of millions to upgrade the squad from the likes of Socrates and Lichtsteiner and Bellerin and, Ceballos, all of these players that we started out with. We didn't have the guts of we didn't have the best parts of the team.
So, if Saka and Saliba were to leave, or Erdogan were to leave, how long will it take us to get another one of those type of players?
We'd be looking a couple seasons at least, right?
Yeah, so that's why there's an expiration date, is because at some point those players will go, well, either the manager goes or I go, because he's not getting me across. He's not helping me get across the line. And I believe 9 times out of 10, Arteta's decision making in these seasons has hurt the team. Yes, he doesn't have the players, but I think in certain situations he needed to make, what a 10-year, 10, 15-year manager would have made a totally different situation. Like you go through all these games, right? And that Aston Villa game, moving Havertz into midfield when we know it hadn't worked in prior games. Like that's one, right?
That was
playing Partey as a right back when you can barely, when his minutes are limited, that as a 6, which is his preferred position. I didn't get that, right? Not having, change going through those games against Fulham and West Ham, right? And not having an answer, not pulling the trigger earlier, not changing something, because you can't have all that possession and not get a goal. Like you're wasteful. So I think
But here's a take, right? Let's say Man City hadn't made all of those 115 charges, and let's say they played the game straight, allegedly, and this is just my opinion, then in the last 2 seasons, the points that we accumulated for each of those seasons, that was title winning points. But we just couldn't get past that one team who it could turn out, have had extra funding which has enabled them to get to where they get to where they've got. I mean, it's not like we finished second and we were like 10 points behind the winner, 6 points behind.
We were there.
We were like, it was like, it was down to like the last day of the season, sort of thing.
Definitely.
So, I mean, the margins are fine. The margins are so fine, they're like cigarette papers.
And it's up to the FA to do this. It's up to the Premier League to police their own league, police the practices within their own league, and adjudicate. And we may have, I don't even know how they're going to approach 115 cases or charges if anything's proved here.
But I want to know how they're going to approach that Man City sued them.
How they're going to approach what? The Man City what?
Man City
court case
sued
against the FA.
They sued the FA.
Oh,
what was the outcome of that court case?
The counter suit, is that what you mean?
It was a while back, last month, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So what happened with that? I didn't hear anything else about it.
I think that'll be thrown out the door.
Is it still going on, or was it finished, or what? Is it still going on? Is it ongoing?
Yeah, it's still going on. Things won't happen until October. I think that's what I understand. Ten Hag was surprised that Arteta with 2 seasons in the Premier League, winning a Carabao Cup and an FA Cup. Well, we've already addressed the FA Cup. Mikel Arteta did something similar in his first season. And you got to a Carabao Cup where Champions League teams don't really participate, and you beat Newcastle. They beat Newcastle in the final. Listen, I'd like to win the Carabao Cup as well as the next guy. Overperforming any club in the world would snap up Arteta immediately. Yeah, we've seen some frauds in some other clubs go through, but Arteta's learning and growing and has done a lot in 4 years as well. No trophies equals sacked. I don't think we'll be talking about no trophies at the end of this coming season. I think we'll bag something, Moss made us the most valuable squad around. Asked the players how good Mikel Arteta is. It's how we got Rice, and that's how we're starting to attract big players, and we're starting to attract now players of the ilk of maybe Calafiori. I'd like to know, I'm sure we'll see his interview. I'd like to know what his thoughts were about Arsenal and why he was attracted to come and to play for Arsenal. Was it Jorginho? What was the? I've seen him there's pictures of him as a young child wearing an Arsenal jersey. So did he watch Arsenal 20 years ago when he was growing up?
But isn't there other positions that you look at first? You got Timber, you got Kivior, now you got another left back.
Yeah, I think we're looking at a lot of positions, Tony, but the ones that pop are the ones that get done. You know what I mean? So we're probably talking to a midfielder or two. We're probably talking to two forwards right now, and things are going to start happening pretty soon.
We were definitely
I
talking
don't.
to
I,
Sesko, but he re-signed.
I don't. I think the Sesko deal in itself is we could afford to pay that, but for Gyökeres and Osman, we needed more money coming in, and I think
Yeah,
that's why those things are stalled a little bit because we
yeah.
need more money coming in. But the other
Price is
deals
right,
we could
probably,
afford to
right?
pay up. We could afford to pay those things up front, right? So I think that's kind of I think they've show how they manage things. They weren't going to spend. They weren't going to go out and get Bucharest because they couldn't afford it at the time. Sesko sounded like number plan B. I mean,
Like,
Isak would have been good, but then also once again, that requires more money than we have. So I think they've done their due diligence in this, and I'd like to see them, essentially maybe bring in two players simultaneously,
yeah,
as opposed to what we're seeing like it's streamlined
yeah,
at. But
yeah.
um, yeah.
No, exactly, Gary.
But I think
Um,
I mean, I think that the deals will get done because, like, City's not really done anything, Liverpool's not really done anything, and we expect them to do stuff. So I think, as much as Arsenal, people complain about Arsenal, Calafiori goes across the line that's bigger than anybody, any other player, any other team in the top six, as
yeah.
far
I
as
don't know,
bringing
man.
in a player that's going to be like, who
Man,
do
you
they
brought
bring
in a
in that's
couple,
better
haven't
than Calafiori?
they? They brought in Xerxes, and they brought in somebody else. Who was the other one they brought
Yeah,
in?
but
Xerxes and
I don't
Euro,
think they're at the level of
Euro,
Calafiori though,
Delict,
right?
Delict.
Have they signed
So
Delict? Has that happened, is it?
I think that happened. Yeah, I
I
think they
think
brought
I
in.
think I did. Yeah.
Yeah, Delict is it.
Okay. Like him.
Yeah. Right, John. What's the point of upgrading the squad if there's no trophies? I agree. We're upgrading the squad so that we can be ready to go and win trophies. And yeah, we're going to be disappointed at the end of the season if there's no trophies at the end of the day. But we're not going to be lighting torches and holding pitchforks either. You know, this one's for Gary. I heard Partey right back is coming back for the next friendly.
yeah.
Please,
I was
please
I was
no.
I was I was concerned when did the watch along last night that maybe we should probably conserve some of his minutes because we don't know how many we're gonna get. So like playing him yesterday, I think those are minutes gone now, right? He's got an expiration date, a shelf life. What did we get from him last season? What did we get? We got 24 games from him the previous season,
Yeah,
and last season what
He'll
we
be
got?
match fit,
He
though.
got, but we got about 2 or 3
maybe
games out of
12.
him. So I think we have to, like I said, keep it between 10 and 15 games that we use him for.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, listen, Red John, if we keep tolerating second, we could all be in the grave before Arsenal wins the next Premier League. We need to put pressure on the manager. There's a lot of managers who would trade an arm for Arteta's salary. If you watch Arteta's interviews and tell yourself, how can you tell yourself Arteta's not motivated to win the Premier League? Does he not convey that to you that he's motivated to win the Premier League? That he is uh, instilling discipline in the squad to train well, to do the right things each and every day, to be professional in your approach, to go and win games, because that's what it's all about: being professional, uh, not 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 messing around when you're training. Do it well, do it right, and be ready on match day to go and win points, home and away, up and down the country. And you can look at Mikel Arteta's interviews and tell yourself he's not motivated to win the Premier League and he's not ready to win the Premier League with this team. I don't know. I can't help you because that's what I see when I'm watching videos. Mikel Arteta demands the standards required to win things, and it's coming. It's coming. I think. I think it's coming. So I don't know what the rest of you have to say, but I see it in Mikel Arteta's interviews, the drive to get better. He's talking about it all the time. Those final percentages that's needed to get from second to first. I see Stan nodding.
He doesn't miss a trick, does he? I think he looks at every aspect and tries to squeeze every last drop out of everything that he's got in front of him. He's the kind of bloke that if you shared a flat with him and you try to sweep a few crumbs under the rug, he'll find them. He's finding them crumbs.
But,
So,
isn't that part of this problem though? He's sitting there micromanaging the team, shouting out, telling them what to do instead of letting the players be creative.
Seems to be working.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
we're challenging the city.
I think our style of play is defined right now. The only problem we don't have is it's a numbers game. We just don't have the numbers, right, to keep up, right? We don't have the players, right? We can't do it with 12 to 15 players. We need more.
And the ones that are on the market, you can't do it with them, Gary.
Yeah, like getting Rice was a big. You get second, you get Rice. All right, you think that's going to do enough for you? You still realize you're still short.
Yeah.
He's real short. But there are. I mean, it's a combination of things, right? We're short depth wise. He's still learning this thing. He's still learning the game, right? He's still learning to be a manager. Arteta. There's still things that he's not doing.
Well, I don't know. It's
correct.
going into his 6th season now, isn't it? It's been a while. Them training should come off a long time.
I'll go into it again. Tell me a 6-year manager who's he's got this much pressure on them.
And he's been a 6-year manager at the top level from day one. It's not like he started down there and he's worked up and he's been somewhere in France and now he's been right there. So it's a baptism of fire. These mistakes that you mentioned earlier, like that Aston Villa game, some of the the mistakes he made, he's got to cut that out now.
Yeah.
There's no room for that kind of errors anymore because I think that was a costly error, and it was a shortfall that we could just not make up. We couldn't make it up back, making that shortfall.
Yeah, the other error on top of that is when you played in that City match and you realize you have control of the game in the sense that they're not going to get much out of it because you're controlling it. At some point, you're going to have to go and take those 3 points away from, we didn't do that either. Like for me, that's the mental aspects of the game, right? At some point, you need to turn your players loose and say, you know what, go get the 3 points for me, please. And I don't think he ever did that.
Yeah.
And you did everything to make sure they weren't going to get 3 points.
Though? Could it be the players not coming out of their shell enough as well? There's only so much that the manager can do. The players have to do their bit. They're kicking the ball around. They're getting into positions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe he's not the right man for the job because we say the same thing. We score a goal and then we let up. Why is that?
Yeah, but we didn't do that last season. That was season before.
We did that. We actually did that yesterday. He scored a goal and we let up.
But you
know what? It's a trait. It's a trait we see too many times for it not to be something that's either he's coaching it or he's letting it happen. No, Carl Hein yesterday was probably the best player for Arsenal. He had a really good day.
Yeah,
like his first two
do we see him?
Yeah, his first two kicks were out of bounds. After that, the man settled in. We had a really good game.
He did.
So I kind of feel like So for me. No.
Unlucky with the deflection, wasn't it? That was unlucky with the deflection.
Yeah, listen, you can't blame the goalkeeper for that goal at all.
Yeah. When you turn the ball over deep in your half, right? I mean, that's the story with it, and that was one of the academy players, right? The young players letting that ball go, and then boom, you get punished for it. And Sometimes it's luck, and sometimes they just put the ball away.
Is that Rekic?
Yeah.
Rekic.
Yeah.
Okay. Why would you put up with
looked well
Arteta
off
out
it,
of
didn't he?
fear that another club would want him? You know.
All right, guys. Let's see you later, guys. Take it easy.
All right,
All right,
see you,
Alonso.
Alonso.
See you later,
Cheers.
pal.
You slag.
Yeah. I don't think I'm not fearful that he leaves for another club. I just like once again, like who's going to what manager out there is going to get us to this? You know, who's going to cross the line for us?
Mikel,
Right.
who's going to do it?
Like I said, like who's going to do it for us outside of Mikel, Pep, and Klopp?
Yeah.
I don't want anyone else at the minute. This club
Yeah.
is really, I feel like, it's not like, like this club feels like it's now been moulded in his shape. If that makes any sense. He really, is through this club now. Everything that he's doing and the way that he works, if I do, and if you look at the squad now compared to when he took over, just the personnel. I mean, there's no reason that I don't want to see us buying any more defenders. Thank you. That's it now. That is it now. No more. It's like Mikel's like, yeah, but no. That's it. Yeah, but there's this
Well,
one.
what
bloke
about Mark Gay?
No.
Mark Gay.
Yeah, there's this one bloke.
Come on.
He's good with both feet. Mikel, no more. But our defense is solid, man, and I like that. But that's it now. I like what he's doing. I don't want to see another manager come in and want to stamp, put his authority on and get rid of certain players and bring in other players. And now we're starting again. I don't like that.
Yeah,
I want to see this through.
And that's where I don't. Yeah, that's where I get a little bit confused with what we're doing. If we switched the goalkeeper, we brought a new goalkeeper in every season. We've cleaned up our defense every season. We haven't done the same for our attackers every season.
No.
Why is that? How can you be so ruthless on the back end, but in the front end, which you don't win 0-0, right? So you have to score goals, and we're not ruthless there. So Nketiah, Emile Smith Rowe, Nelson, all get contracts. Guess what? How is that when you can see that that's not working from day dot, right? Not when you're looking at what we've done with our goalkeepers and the defensive players we
He's
keep
got his
bringing in.
favorite crayons, Gary.
Like I said, the process doesn't make any sense because it only works. Why would you? You're ruthless on the back, on the front you're not. You're a midfielder and you're not even doing it there. Sorry, go ahead.
The answer to that question is that the great Sir Alex Ferguson once said that in order to win the league, you have to have a really good defense.
Yeah, but
so there are a lot of managers that have an ethos of building from the back first and building through. But this is what I'm saying. That's it now. That back is solid. Thank you very much. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to see anyone else now. That is it. So now I'm expecting midfielders, wide players, what have you. Don't want to see any more fullbacks, central defenders. I don't give a fuck if they can head the ball in from their own half. Whatever, no.
Right.
I don't understand the move when you got Kiwior and you got Timber. When you have other defenders.
Well, I mean, you know what? The one thing they've done is gotten better, though. That's the other part you have to look at it. It's not like we're taking Kiwior is a step back from where we wanted to. We wanted to get better, all right. Timber for me was better than Kiwior, right?
He's going.
Calafiori is better than Zinchenko, right? So we're bringing up the floor a little bit with that, all right? So.
And I think there are a couple of questions. There's a couple of questions still. I mean, the injury that Timber had was a very bad injury. We've not really had an opportunity to see him play regularly yet. And we don't know how much that injury may play a part. So there's that to think about, right? At least to have in the back of your mind. The other one is Tomiyasu. What's he made out of? Paper mache. This guy just seems to constantly get problems, and now he's going to be missing the pre-season. And I'm probably of the opinion that maybe we should be selling Tomiyasu and keeping Kiwior.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it looks like they're making room they're making room. I think Kivior, there's been a lot of talk about Kivior leaving. So I think that, when Calafiori comes in, someone is going to be leaving, and it'll probably be Kivior. But I do think that there is a question to be asked about Tomiyasu.
Yeah.
And I like Tomiyasu. He plays very well in many positions. He seems to be comfortable. But if you can't rely on them and they're going to be on a treatment table and they're going to be like Thomas Partey, then it's no good. He's missed a lot of games for us, and I might have to have a look.
He's not good.
Have a look.
He's not good in the midfield, and that's part of why we got kicked out of the Champions League. Finally moved to a back three. You play
Have a look.
him there instead of Zinchenko as a left 8. Made no sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so since he's been with us for 3 seasons, in his first season he played 21 games in the league. In his second season he played 21 games in the league, and the season just gone he played 22, which actually seems pretty reasonable in a way. But I do seem to remember him being absent, and I don't know what it's like for cup games. But he does seem to be injury prone, I suppose is the only word.
Yeah, Zinchenko is, Partey is.
Yeah.
Because the most games Zinchenko ever played was his 1 year he played in Russia.
The biggest ability is availability.
Under 25. It's been under 25 games like the rest of the players.
Had 8 matches in the Europa League in the season just gone.
Yeah, they're pertinent questions in terms of the injuries that we have in the squad. We know about Thomas Partey. We know about Zinchenko, Tomiyasu. These are players that maybe we're looking to.
Jesus, another one. Jesus has been a bit.
Yeah, injuries where they're in and out of the team. We hope that in certain areas of the squad we have answers for those situations. I believe we do for the most case have answers. But if you start getting 2 or 3 consecutive injuries in the same area of the field, then you're going to start getting to a point where your squad's getting stretched a little bit thin.
Something that I noticed in that friendly yesterday was Gabriel Jesus. He's such a good player. I mean, his first touch and then second touch is really good, and he can pull. Sometimes the way he plucks the ball out of the air and brings it, he's so good. But his finishing.
Who was that?
Gabriel Jesus. But his finishing lets him down. He seems to have everything else that you would want.
General play is good
in a lethal finisher. But the finishing part of it sometimes is really bad. But everything else about his game, his first touch, the way he can bring the ball out of the air, the space he can get into, the quick feet, he can wriggle out of situations. But sometimes the finishing just so bad.
What does his assist look like, Gary?
What is what?
Jesus assists. What do they look like?
Oh, I don't know. I'm on my phone, so I don't have access to all that stuff.
Stan,
but you know what? The thing is, Jesus right now, if I'm Arteta, Jesus is coming off.
Sat in your bunker.
Yeah, Jesus
I'm
is
on my iPad.
Control.
Yeah. No, Jesus is not a starter for us, but he definitely is a rotation player for us. Like he can start games for us, and that's kind of like if we're gonna be ruthless, let's be ruthless. He's not taking a spot from Havertz, not taking a spot from Saka, not taking a spot from either Martinelli or Trossard, right? So he should be a jack of all trades on that front line. He comes in when we late in games, or he'll start games when we need to rest players, and then we'll be fine. But that's Arteta. Arteta's got to, that's got to be the way it goes. I think if he wants to see this thing through,
it's to be as ruthless as you're talking about, Gary, is going to be difficult. Being ruthless means Nketiah going, means Zinchenko going.
That's the way it's supposed to. That's the way it should have been because
Yeah.
we've seen it. We know he's got it. And that's in his repertoire. We've seen it, right? Lakanga and Tavage are gone, right? Why?
They weren't
Yeah,
up to snuff.
exactly.
weren't.
And but somehow once again, this is plays into to Tony. He'll love this, but why in the front end does he not do that? Why?
Yeah, I
You know?
don't understand it.
Why? Those players should be gone. They should be on loans with obligations to buy.
Yeah.
Those players, and like I said, those players I feel like they feel like we're going on loan, but we'll be back. And it's like, no, you're going on loan because you're like the only player that's gone on loan that's come back
Right.
is Vince Saliba, and that's because of age, not because of we can't find a spot for you or that's what it is now. Emile Smith Rowe, Tavage, Lakanga, Nketiah, Nelson, they're not going on loan because they need more time. They're going on loan because their services aren't required anymore.
But that's the problem. We perpetually loan them out instead of just selling them. Who cares if you make less than what you want when you? It's better than just keep loaning them out where you have to pay their salary anyway.
Yeah. Ray John's making a good point about small strikers, and Aguero was probably the only one in the Premier League. Jesus, Ian Wright, yeah.
Yeah, just
There's loads, man.
These strikers. Yeah.
Jesus is too. It's not that Jesus is too small. I just don't. He's not athletic enough.
Romario.
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with size. He's putting himself in the right positions to put a ball on target, and he can't. That has nothing to do with size. That's called, talent. That's a talent. That's a skill he doesn't have.
Eduardo.
So, yeah. There's that. Like, I mean,
don't talk about Eduardo.
What he's saying is what he's saying in a good light, I believe.
Spot for that guy.
So that's why he said it.
Yeah.
Mark Owen.
Little guy. Yeah.
Listen, that's in the era though, Stan, of two up front.
Imagine Stan.
Yeah, the big man, little man. I get you.
Imagine if Lehman didn't give a red card within the first 15 minutes.
Havertz and Jesus.
I know.
And imagine if Eduardo didn't break his leg.
Imagine if we didn't give up a goal late in the Fulham game, right? There's a lot of ifs. So there's a lot of imagining. But
Tony's just giving us two extra trophies there, Gary. We would have won the Champions League in 26, and we would have won the Premier League in 28.
Yeah.
We were cruising. That team was.
It was cooking. You're right, Tony.
In that leather jacket, you look like you're cruising.
Tom cruising.
I'm cruising in my wheelchair.
Not what
Where's
I had in
Katie?
mind.
Is she there? Katie Holmes.
I don't want things getting too. Look, Stan, this big boss man in a leather jacket.
It's the big boss man, Ray Trailer.
Imagine if the Invincibles didn't lose to Man United in 2004, 2005. We would have done that.
Tony, zoom out again. Zoom out a minute.
2 years in a row.
I don't
know. Tony, zoom out a minute again, like you just did. The camera.
We did this.
No.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. I see you've still got those two flags from the front of the president's car that you stole from the rally.
That's what Stan was looking for. Stan.
Even Shearer wasn't that big. I mean, he's not small.
No, Tony.
Shearer was pretty big, right? Shearer had some stature about him.
Yeah, it's a lump.
It's decent, bit of a lump, right?
Well, personally, you know what, and we know size doesn't matter, and there's a lot to it, right? Yeah. Well, we're talking about football players. You're
Oh.
getting all nasty on me here. But,
You open the door, mate.
Widely.
Stan,
Just like, fuck
can
you.
you
Know your
imagine like
audience,
a
Gary. Know your audience.
Stan? Can you imagine a 25
5
or
beers in.
25 or 26-year-old Oliver Giroud in this team?
but the thing is, you saw like the 25-year-old and the one what we saw, like different players, right? As he got older,
Uh,
like they
Tony,
Tell
you
him
want
didn't
to
now.
come
they
back?
didn't use him as much,
Tell him
right?
now.
Yeah.
Tony, you want to come back on something you said about Mikel Arteta not sending the right message in the dressing room? I think he's not like micromanaging them. I think he said at times there are times to play and have fun, and then there's times to be serious. Mikel
What does that
Arteta,
mean? What do you mean by that?
what?
What do you mean by that?
Mikel Arteta has said that for the squad there are times to have fun, and there are times to be serious and get down to work. So
Basically, being creative or being micromanaged.
So I think he's driven to want to win games, but he's not against having a little bit of fun here and there. And I think that's important. We saw it in the documentary as well.
He had a little bit too much fun. He put Partey as left back, then he got hurt.
What?
So putting Partey back at right back, then getting hurt.
Yeah.
That was so stupid.
That happened at the beginning of last season. It was an experiment that was precipitated by Gabriel Magalhaes.
It was not. It should never even have been an option.
It should never
right?
have happened.
Going
But we
back
had
to it again.
injuries.
No. The option of moving him to right back is not a good option
I
at
will
all.
agree with
I
that.
don't care. I don't care what anybody says. I think like you barely get minutes in his preferred position, which is, and when he's in there and he's playing good, you've got one of the best midfielders in there, right? So now you weaken your midfield, and you put him out of position for me, and you ask him to do a lot. He might not do more running, but you're asking him to do a little bit. It's a different type of position that he's coming from, right? Even if he does come into the midfield, I heard people say, yes, he's out there on the right, but he does come into the middle. Well, that's different kind of running than when he's already there, right? You ask him to do a little bit extra, maybe not more running, but extra in a sense that it's different. And I think it was like, I think that's like saying, Stacker, guess what, Stacker, I'm going to put you at left back just because, right?
Well,
No, he's
why
not
do
going to.
you
He doesn't
ever
do that.
tinker? Why do you tinker with ideas selling one of the best center backs in the world, which Gabriel is?
What?
He took him out.
Why
he says it's because his head was turned.
I don't think so.
So you don't believe anything he says then, because that's what he told us.
This is what happened. It's what happened.
That's what Arteta said.
Arteta said it.
So you don't believe him then? So he lied to us.
Nope. He lies a lot in his interviews.
Why is he going to lie about that when he actually did pull the player out?
Yeah. Listen, managers will not tell the truth sometimes. They will lie, if you want to call it lying. They will lie. But in this situation, this is what happened. He explained the situation with Saudi Arabia. And, Gabriel Magalhaes was taken out of the firing line. And unfortunately, there was a training session where Mikel Arteta said to himself, Thomas Partey could play an inverted right back role. And it happened. It didn't look great, but it happened. All right. What position do we need a player in the most, Dan? We've got Calafiori, and you don't want to mess with the defense anymore. So what position?
The most.
Well, we need a player in the most. Either for cover or starting.
If Martin Odegaard broke his leg tomorrow, heaven forbid, touch wood, it never happens. Who goes in? Who goes in there?
Average, probably.
Is it Havertz that goes in there? But then that means then we have to make sure that Gabriel Jesus is firing through the front, through the middle.
Fabio.
I think what we need is definitely we need to know who the cover is for Odegaard and a wide player as well. I think there's a wide player needed for that right-hand side. I mean,
Okay.
who is the person that steps in if, again, something happens to Saka and he can't play? Who is the person that goes in there? Is that T-Bag?
Yeah.
Right now we
Saka,
don't have. Right now we don't have any.
Jesus.
We don't have an answer. You're talking about Erdogan and Saka. We don't have backups for them,
No.
right? I mean,
Okay.
we pretty much have all the other spots with at least one or two players in it. Yeah. And now with Calafiori, we got another player that can play either on the back line or in the midfield. So I think we're
And there's still a
sorted
hole at
there.
left 8, isn't there? There's no one's nailed down that left 8. That still seems to be vacant.
So
But
here's
we got like rotation there, don't we? Because we got rotation there because if Partey and Jorginho are
Do
I
playing,
want that.
then Rice can play that 8, and if either one of them is out, then they can pull back, and that's when you realize your depth is an issue, right?
do we want to establish an exact position for Declan Rice this summer?
There's no way we will get through a season with Declan Rice playing as an 8, and at the 6 having to juggle between Jorginho, who's getting on a bit now, and Thomas Partey, who's made out of balsa wood.
So
know what I
you're
mean?
kind of saying we do need to establish Declan Rice's position once and for all.
Well, that means we have to have a player that helps us that does that for us.
Yep. So we need either 6
is that
or
Fiore?
we need 8.
Is that Calafiori that does it?
No, he's going to be a left back or
Is
a left.
that Timber that does it?
No.
Kivior can. That's one of his positions.
Oh,
So maybe Mikel Marino, maybe a number 6, or maybe a number 8.
so there you go, Mikel Moreno. If that's their next thing, then they solidify the midfield, and then it's just a matter of depth.
But is he a starter
behind.
or a squad player, Marino?
He would start for us. Yeah.
I thought he was a squad
If
player.
Partey or Jorginho would start for us, then Marino would start for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
He may be ahead of Partey, he may be ahead of Jorginho at this point in time.
What happened for going for gummy bears?
And is he? But see, I always felt that in that middle of the park, right? If we've got Odegaard in that right 8 position, and then let's say number 6, or as I like to call it 4, because I'm older school, we had Rice in there or Partey. Whoever plays as number left 8, for me, they have to be a box-to-box player. And that's what Xhaka was doing in that last season. He was coming back and helping Declan Rice and being defensive and helping out with the defense, but he was also able to get into the box and, pull players out of position, sometimes get on the end of things. So whoever that is, if Declan Rice is a box-to-box player, great. But then that means we need a 6. If Declan Rice is going to be the 6, okay. But then whoever comes in at left 8, they must be box-to-box. And I've heard that Marino guy is a box-to-box player.
Yeah.
I think Rice looks best attacking.
I mean, and this is where BX's comment is very, very important here. Rice needs to play a defining midfield role. I think that means his midfield role needs to be defined more clearly.
Well, until we get that player, it will be what it is. He'll just have to fluctuate and just play where we need him to.
Are we asking Rice to do too much, Gary?
Until we get that next player in, right? Until we get that next player in, then yes, he's going to be asked to do more.
Is midfield the position that's most needed?
Think about it. We did the same thing with Erdogan. We expect him to do a lot more than he leads the press. He's supposed to, he comes up the rear a lot of times. That he's more defensive than I would like him to be, right? He's not really involved enough to shoot, really. Like everything, he's been stretched as well, right? He's been stretched. He should be double man easy. The way that he, So I think a lot of players are getting stretched either by what roles they take, or the fact that guess what? There's no depth. You got to play 90 minutes
I,
every game, right? So
I know Stan's mentioned this before, but don't we have enough Swiss Army players? We need just this is where you play. You're a striker. You're not a left back, center back, defensive mid. You got two players now that can play left back, center back, and defensive midfield. That's you don't need that. You need specialists that play.
Why can't there be some games though where Declan Rice is playing in the left 8 and there is Partey behind, or Jorginho, or maybe player X who isn't here? Why can't there be other games where Declan Rice is playing at the 6? Maybe Marino is playing at the left 8, or maybe T-Bag is at a left 8. Or
that's fine.
You know, or player X.
Yeah, but then we can't really have the Rodri versus Rice discussion then because of that.
It's not. Brilliant. For me, it's not even a comparison. Why are we doing that? It's not even a comparison, anyways, right? That's like people trying to compare Salah and Saka. Not really a comparison.
I ended it.
So stop. So just let's not do that. Let's not do that. It's not. No, let's not do that.
Don't let Mark do that to you again, then, Stan. Don't let Mark stitch you up like that.
See? It's squashed now because I don't like that conversation. If he's doing those two jobs, and that conversation's gone, and now he's more unique. But he scored 7 goals in the season, I think, 4 assists, somewhere around that, in the Xhaka area where Xhaka had that best season. And previous to that, at West Ham, his highest goals was 2 in the season. And I know that he was playing differently, but it does show that if he does move up, that he can contribute.
Yeah. Off comes the leather jacket. Tom Cruise getting down to business.
It's
Kelly McGillis is
degrees outside.
The next words out of his mouth will be outside.
Outside now.
On the cobbles. Come on.
Rodri will win the Ballon d'Or. Listen, Rodri's good enough and he probably should win the Ballon d'Or, but the Ballon d'Or generally does not
I think it should be Vinicius Junior. That's who I would give it to. Vinicius Junior.
Yeah, well,
Vinicius Junior doesn't play for Man City, so
Rio Ferdinand was screaming.
Is he going to get it? I'll give it to Rio Ferdinand. Yeah, give it to Rio.
Yeah, because he said, Ballon d'Or, Ballon d'Or, Ballon d'Or. Fabio needs to play with a big body beside him in midfield, but on the right he's more free-flowing. So, Stan, Fabio scored last
needs a big body.
Say again.
Stage right.
Oh, he froze on us. Fabio's not going to get a big body. He just needs to get stronger. That's all. He's going to get hit. He needs to just be able to just take it. Like, it's going to come.
Turn on the fan so the American flag blows in the wind. We want both, apparently. Okay, we'll wind this up pretty soon here. But, what are your hopes for Fabio now, Stan? He scored last night, and he scored last preseason in America too.
I want him to kind of get into that area where Emile Smith Rowe was a couple of seasons ago, where he can come off the bench, and when he comes off the bench, he actually makes a contribution.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was cheeky! Look at that last minute goal! Like, fired it in. I think he's got that in him, and I think he's getting more confidence. And I'm sure that he's working hard in the gym to get himself at the right sort of build. You don't have to be the Incredible Hulk on the football pitch. I mean, look at little Santi Cazorla.
Mm-hmm.
You could blow him over with blow him over with, I don't know, the wing of a pigeon or something like that. It's all about finding space, and who knows, he could do some good stuff for us in some. We've got cup games to come up. If he can keep himself fit, then why can't he contribute? We paid 35 million for him for a reason, right? And when he came to us from Portugal, he was the highest assister in that league with 14 assists. So,
Mhm.
and we've seen that he can find the back of the net. He's got a sweet foot on him. But it has to be this season. We have to start, at the end of this season, we want to be able to say to ourselves, of course we want him next season. If there's still question marks, then it's like, okay.
Do you think it would be fair? Do you think it would be fair to compare Emile Smith Rowe to Fabio Vieira this season at Fulham and Arsenal?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay.
Why
I
not?
agree.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it all depends where they're going to deploy Emile Smith Rowe. I mean, what is his position? It seems to be either on the left hand side where we've got a Martinelli or a Trossard.
They're both attacking players.
Or kind of an attacking midfielder in the middle.
Yeah.
I always wondered why we never gave him an opportunity as a left 8. Maybe he can't do that box to box thing, as I mentioned. Maybe
they're both going to work they're both going to work in similar areas of the field. So we'll see what their goals and assists look like as season wears on.
I initially thought that when we bought sorry, Gary, we bought Fabio Vieira, that initially he was going to be, covering
really well.
Tony, stay out of it. Leave Stan is his own man. Stan can do what he wants.
Yeah. It's in the name, Tony. Stan the man, right?
But he is Maverick.
Right.
Maverick.
The clues are there. But I was always thinking that when we brought him in, that his automatic sort of place in the team would be, coming off the bench for Odegaard, playing in cup games where Odegaard would be rested. But he has been played in the last couple of games on that right-hand side, and he's looked quite nice there. So, who knows?
Yeah, it does seem like the preseason that he's had in, I think, Marbella.
He's not had one, has he, before? He had a preseason. This is his first one.
Yeah. So maybe this could be the kickstart he needs for the start of the season here, Gary, Jesus can turn water to wine, but can't put the ball in the back of the net to save humanity, says Red John. Can't disagree, right?
Very true. Very true. Yeah, we need more out of him. So yeah, like I said, you need to tap that resource and see if you can get it to the fire, and maybe coming off the bench will do it, because we think about it. We saw that in the Bayern Munich game, right? He came off the bench and scored late, right? So we know it's in there. Maybe that's just his role. Trossard, same thing. Emile Smith Rowe, a couple of seasons ago, you brought him on. He scored goals like in 4 or 5 straight games. He got in a goal or assist. Once you got it, that's what like we always kid about Jota, right? Comes off the bench, he does something. That's maybe Jesus' way to get back into the game, because I think he needs to come in with some hunger, right? Come in with some fire and change the game and maybe play against players that have been out there for a bit. He's got fresh legs, let him go at it. So
also as well,
like I said,
if you're Jesus a couple of seasons ago, you're in Arsenal and you're thinking, doesn't matter if I play shit, they're not going to play Eddie ahead of me. Now with Kai Havertz is playing, now he sort of has a bit of competition. There's talk about maybe bringing in another forward. Maybe that gets you to kick on a bit more. Maybe that gives you another couple of percent in your game. I don't know.
Yeah.
The problem I always have with that is like you needed to have done that beforehand, like either to get your praise to feel that pressure, right? And that's on Arteta. Once again, this learning curve that
he has been carrying an injury, hasn't
he? Yeah. No, but I mean,
saying he's been carrying an injury, his finishing has been bad, isn't it? It's like you're right there. The goal's right there, and the ball's gone over there. What's happening, man?
Yeah. It's another one.
That's
not a Jesus moment.
Yeah.
For the show reel.
Yeah. But we've seen it, right? Do you remember that goal the goal against Man United? Was it the one of Man United where the defender's sliding in and he's like controlled it, and you can see he's got it, man.
Away.
You can see that he's got it.
Yeah. away to Sevilla with that goal to win the game at Sevilla in the Champions League.
It's just not consistent.
Engineering the goal for Trossard to get the equalizer against Bayern Munich. So I think that engineering that goal for Trossard got Jesus to start in the Aston Villa game that we were talking about earlier, and Havertz was pushed back in the midfield. So Mikel Arteta has bought into it fully a little bit, and he needs to check himself a little bit.
It's crazy because you see the training videos, and they use them tiny goals, man. And you see him kicking him into them tiny goals, and then he plays a match with a really big goal, and there's more space. And you're like, why can't he get it into the bigger space? You can get it into there. If the goals were smaller, he'd be like fucking, I don't know. Hello.
Gary says that they make it too easy. They make training too easy. I think that's what you say, right, Gary?
Yes.
It's too easy.
I always say you practice the way you play, and I understand the concept behind the small little goals, but like the big little goals, are they playing like is it all for me? I feel like when you get into the game, you've already experienced how the
they tower over him. He's like, no.
Little goals, no problem. Fucking scoring from everywhere. Big goals.
The little goals are about hitting a certain area on the big goals.
Exactly. So when you're that would mean that if you have like you can hit a shot on the near post, right? If you can hit one of those small goals, then if you get by the near post, you're gonna get past the goalkeeper. Then they can do it because they can show they can shoot the small areas of the goal. So yeah. Just a mental thing for me.
BX is asking if we talked about Reece Nelson. We kind of did. Strong link.
You know what it is? When I score in the small goals, it's all good. But when I played a match, it's like all of a sudden there's like this man standing there with gloves on. What's that all about? Where did he come from? He wasn't there in training. This guy.
Yeah, Reece Nelson being linked with Leicester City. Give Real Madrid Reece Nelson, Emile Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira, Jesus, Eddie Nketiah, Ethan, Nwaneri, Fabio, Tomiyasu, for Mbappe. Yeah, that's quite a list of players that we could do without in certain aspects. But I don't know if Mbappe is the ultimate team player. Maybe we need somebody like Flamini.
If he did that, we'd be even a thinner squad.
Jesus loaded.
Would you take Jack Grealish to play left eights then?
No, because I don't think he could do what I say. They have to be able to go box to box, and I don't see Jack Grealish being able to do what Jack could do when he used to come back and help out in that defensive way. For me, that person that we're missing, if it's going to be a 6 and Odegaard, that 8 has to be able to go box to box.
Right.
Vieira. Where's he doing? He's looking for work, isn't he? He was great box to box.
Yeah. All right, so that's where we're at. It feels to me like Calafiori coming in, that Emile Smith Rowe is going to be balancing the books, going the other direction to Fulham.
Eddie
next. Reece Nelson next. Are we going to see the big Ramsdale? We have to see the big Ramsdale deal go through. And
aren't we also pestering Wolves for a keeper as well as that Tommy Stepford guy from the Netherlands?
I don't understand that, but I think you're right about that. You know,
we've had bids turned down apparently from Wolves for this keeper. Is it their number 1 keeper or their number 2 keeper at Wolves? Who is it?
Not number 1, that's for sure.
Okay, we've had bids turned down, so we're bringing in 2 keepers by the looks of it. So I don't know what Cole Hein's thinking. Is that I've saved 2 penalties, man? What's going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What more do you want from me?
Are we worried about the goalkeeping situation? If it's Raya and Hein going forward, to get an injury to Raya, then we got Carl Hein, who might be a decent goalkeeper. We got to give him the.
If Carl Hein's not good enough, why is he in the squad? He's been there long enough now, and he's been there ages, man. At Arsenal, through the ranks. So if he's not good enough, why are we keeping this guy? You know, it sounds ruthless, right? But if Raya is injured, someone's got to put the gloves on.
Yeah.
If they believe it's Cole Hein, that has my backing. But if they don't, what are we missing around for? Do you know what I mean? Because
All right, listen, I gotta go.
All right,
I want
closing out
wanna
anyway,
say
Gary.
bye.
Thanks.
I want to say bye, Ray.
cheers, Gary.
Don't forget
Bye,
the likes.
Stan. Bye, Tony. Everybody in the chat. See you guys.
Cheers,
Have a good
Gary.
night. All right, see you.
Thank you for
Mhm.
joining.
I was just going to say, because a couple of seasons ago it was Turner,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So if either Hein is
The goalkeeping
you know-
conversation. The goalkeeping conversations breaks things up very easily. Breaks things up very quickly. When's the next game? Is it on Saturday or Sunday?
I don't know.
Man United. I can check as well. I feel like Tony's on top of this stuff now. He's got a countdown and everything. What is that?
When is it?
2 days from now? Saturday?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I'm playing Man
It's on
United
Saturday.
on Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, good. I'll watch that.
What time is
What?
it? When is it, Tony?
4 hours ago, or because it's
What time is it set for?
yeah.
Hold on. I got it here. All right, 8 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be 5 p.m. your time, Stan.
Yeah, good.
All right, that's not a bad time to watch a game, right? And
Friday.
we might have a few less academy players and a little bit more starting players or more established players. All right, we'll leave it there. Stan, any final comments, thoughts?
No, it's good to have a chat with you, and just remember, guys, when you're watching these pre-season games, if Arsenal lose games in the pre-season, it don't mean shit. It really, really doesn't.
Yeah.
It's more about fitness and messing around with some tactics and that. If they lose games, don't pull your hair out.
Yeah. Pre-season is about getting minutes into the legs and getting rhythm for the season. And even in the Premier League, we're not going to win every game in the Premier League. We're not going to win every cup game as well, or Champions League game. Stan put together a really, really good video. I'll try to get that one out for the next show. It's been busy this evening, but Stan has been busy. He made a really nice.
Stan's been busy with the AI.
Yeah. So Tony.
Don't put that one out. I'm gonna redo it better.
Okay. Cool.
It's a work in progress.
All right. Send me some by Saturday, and then I'll try and get it up for Sunday. You
By
know
Saturday?
what I mean? Saturday. Yeah.
That's not happening.
All right, Tony. Keep it short. Close us out here, Tony. Keep it short.
Yeah, not looking forward to waking up at 3:30 in the morning to have surgery tomorrow morning. But
Oh, Christ.
yeah,
The bionic man.
I feel like if I did that Mel Gibson part of Lethal Weapon, like talking about all your scars and shit, I'd be there for like 10 minutes.
Coming for you.
I think you're more like Quinn from Jaws. That's what I'm going.
Or Jaws
All
from
right,
James
buddy.
Bond.
We wish you well. I hope it goes well for you, and you are that body part has been rebuilt better than before. Right?
I hope so. I feel like I just keep chasing the tail since I keep injuring the
Usually-
same body part.
Usually
Oh,
you're
yeah,
the
Tony, you've got to
positive
go,
one.
man.
Yeah. Tony, you're the positive one. We're going to be the positive one for you this time, and hope that things go well for you. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, and good luck, Tony.